Ready!
Hey everybody, Grins here. Today I've got another oldie for you. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. A game developed by Darkworks and published by Infogrames. Infogrames? Grams? Published by these guys. Originally released in 2001 on multiple platforms, including PC, PlayStation, Dreamcast, PS2, and it even had a Game Boy Color version. Today we are reviewing the re-release for the PS5. Besides a few quality of life improvements, it's the same game. They've smoothed the visuals, added save states, and a rewind feature. The controls are the same, and for a lot of people I know that will be a deal breaker. Why is that? Well, because it has the same controls as the original Resident Evil games. You know, tank controls. I've never really had a problem with tank controls myself, but I understand people's disdain for them. They definitely take some getting used to, but once you do, they work quite well. I do think the tank controls feel a bit looser and sort of sloppy compared to Resident Evil. The thing I had the biggest problem with in this game is the camera. This game uses fixed camera angles, but the fixed camera isn't really the problem. The problem is how often the camera shifts from point to point. It does it so much that it makes it hard to keep track of where you're headed. All I can say is thank God for maps. Although it really sucks you have to use the map to figure out if you actually went where you thought you did. Sometimes even that isn't enough to help you figure out if you are headed in the right direction or not, because most of the time the map only tells you what room you are in, and not the player's actual position. Occasionally the game will take pity on you and let you know exactly where you are on the map, but mostly it's up to you to figure that out. It's not game-breaking or anything, but it's definitely going to do its best to waste your time. Another weird thing about the map is the game only displays locked doors when you are in the same room as the door. If you leave that room without unlocking it, it won't show up on the map. Unless you have already been on both sides of the door, and at that point you don't even need to unlock the door. Anyway, you play as Edward Carnby, or Aline Cedric. The biggest difference between the two is that Carnby starts with a gun. He also collects more ammo throughout his campaign than Aline does. So Carnby is the best campaign to start with if you've never played it before. So that's where we will start. As I said, Carnby starts with a gun, and what a ridiculous gun it is. It's a double-barreled revolver. At first it sounds kinda cool. If you're firing 2 bullets at a time, it should mean you'll end enemies quicker. Nope, it just means you'll burn through your ammo faster. Also, if you take a close look at it, it kind of looks like,
The long, smooth shaft, complete with 2 balls!
What is that? That looks just like an enormous
Wang!
The shotgun is just as ridiculous. It has 3 barrels and fires all 3 at once, but is no stronger than a regular shotgun from pretty much any other game. If anything, it's far weaker. The zombie creatures are a perfect example for this. They take 3 shots to kill. That's 9 shells as a zombie. It's a good thing this game showers you in shells. They had 141 at one point. Maybe it's because I played it like a survival horror game, and I only killed what I had to. Or maybe it's because the game gives you almost as many weapons as Doom. On top of the revolver and the shotgun, you get a rocket launcher pistol that is really just a flare gun, a grenade launcher, a plasma cannon, aka a flamethrower, a lightning gun, easily my favorite weapon, and a photoelectric pulsar. Aline gets all of the same weapons with the exception of the double-barreled revolver. She gets a revolver, but it's just worthless. You know what's really ridiculous? There's almost more weapon variety than there is enemy variety. You've got the shadow dogs, the weird spiky things, the frog ones that lick you,
He was licking me!
the zombies, whatever this thing is, these little guys, these head crab looking things, the swamp creatures, a couple of unique bosses for each character, and that's all. Good thing combat isn't the sole focus of the game. Aiming is not great. It kind of has target assist, but it's not very reliable. You have to have your character almost perfectly lined up with the target before it will snap to the target. Even then, it's iffy. And to anyone saying target assist is for losers has obviously never played older games like this one. First off, half the time you will be aiming at enemies not even on the same screen as you. Real hard to aim at what you can't see. Secondly, most enemies are below waist high, so without target assist, most of your shots would just sail over the enemy's head, because you can't aim up and down manually, a sacrifice made so that you can walk while you're aiming. Unless you hold L1 and R1, then you can aim with the left stick, but calling that a sketchy way to aim would be giving it too much credit. You'll learn that quickly when you get to the flashlight puzzle. Another thing that annoys me about the combat is the game likes to transition you from one area to another directly into the arms of an enemy. Or spawn the enemies right on top of you. Boss fights aren't too bad unless we're talking about the puzzle fights towards the end. I only figured out how to beat this prick on accident. Maybe it's just me, but my first thought when I'm being chased by an unkillable monstrosity isn't, let's run into this dead end. The game should telegraph what you should do a little better. Aline also gets 2 irritating boss fights. The first you have to trick into jumping into a lightning bolt 3 times. Eat it, you ass! With the tank controls and overactive camera, it definitely tested my patience. The second one I didn't even bother with. I just ran past him once I figured out how. Overall, the combat isn't bad, but it has been done better in other older games. The exploration and puzzles in this game are done well enough. Some of the puzzles take a leap in logic, like this one. This is the clue the game gives you, and this is the padlock it's supposed to give you the combination to. I like that the random documents contain answers to a lot of the puzzles instead of just being story stuff. There are some good environmental puzzles, like following the bloodstains with the black light to find the correct symbols. Or how you have to kill this bed plant. Burn! The environment still looks pretty good. Benefits of pre-rendered backgrounds. Although they can be rather confusing in some areas because it all looks very similar, mostly in the later stages of the game. The mansion is a pretty cool place to explore, although figuring out which key goes to which door is more of a pain in the ass than it needs to be. The game does help narrow down your search. If you examine the key, it will tell you what area of the map you should be searching. Then you just have to try the key on every door in that area until you find the right door. Another thing I found odd about the keys is when you get a key that says ground floor, it means the first floor. Pretty standard, right? Well, you also get keys that say first floor, but they are meant for the second floor. Weird, right? Well, this game has all kinds of weird stuff.
And you?
Like this, you come into this area on the left side. You try to cross this ledge, and Alan comes in and cuts the rope, dropping you into a hole.
And now, you die.
Alan, no, don't!
But the cutscene ends, and you are on the right side of the hole. I must have a guardian angel. The story is fine. Carnby heads to the island investigating murder, and Aline is headed there because she suspects Obed Morton is her father. But the main focus of this story is Shadow Island, the Morton family, and you quickly get roped into trying to stop Alan from opening the gate to the Shadow Realm. It's interesting enough that it kept me entertained all the way through, but it's not anything that's going to leave a lasting impression. There's only one ending. Not one ending per character, but one ending, period. The voice acting is on par with pretty much all voice acting from the PlayStation 1 era.
I'm very sorry. Listen, I know Professor Morton's reputation.
This is probably the only thing that this game does as well as Resident Evil, which is kind of funny when you consider that this is one of the series that supposedly inspired Resident Evil. If you're looking for an old-school survival horror game to play, it will scratch that itch. But I would only recommend it if you have already played Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, because they are so much better. Anyway, that's what I think. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think me a moron? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe if you feel so inclined, and I will see you next time. Later.